Sarah Belle Reid, and welcome back to another video. Today, I want to revisit a topic that I've discussed before on my channel, which is integrating modular synthesizers with effect pedals. I published a really in-depth video on this same topic a little while back that goes into all the different things you might want to consider when you're adding effects pedals into a modular synth setup. I'll leave a link to that video in the description below. Today, I'm going to revisit some important considerations when combining these worlds together by demonstrating the new Boredbrain UniFX module, which is designed specifically for combining Eurorack modular synthesizers with external devices. So let's dive in. UniFX is an interface module that allows you to connect external gear to your Eurorack modular synth. Interface modules like this one are important because different types of gear have such vastly different signal levels. For instance, modular synthesizers produce very high signal levels when compared to desktop synths, and considerably hotter signal levels than electric guitars. So, in order to keep things sounding as good as possible in a setup that combines these different types of gear together, some thought needs to be given to how best to adjust signal levels between devices, and that's what this module is for. UniFX is an effect, send, and return module. So you can send your Eurorack into effects pedals, for example, or you can send external audio into and out of your Eurorack system. At the top of the panel, there is an input and an output for Eurorack signals. And at the bottom here, there is an input and an output for external gear using 1/4-inch cables. The mix knob and CV input allow you to control the wet-dry mix of your affected sound. And the pedals Euro effects switch here allows you to determine whether you're using this module to send your Eurorack system through an effects pedal, or if you're using the Eurorack system as an insert effect in an external signal chain. All right, so that's simple enough. Let's take a look at some examples. First, let's take a look at how UniFX can be used to add effect pedals into a modular synth setup. In order to do this, we need to switch this switch here to be in pedals mode. In this mode, the top 3.5mm input is the primary input, and the 1/4-inch output and input down at the bottom act as an effect send and return, respectively. The top 3.5mm output here is the primary output. The wet-dry mix allows us to adjust between the Eurorack dry signal and the wet signal from the pedal. In this situation, UniFX is scaling down the Eurorack level signal to a signal that's appropriate for use with a pedal. And it's scaling the pedal signal back up to a level more appropriate for use in a Eurorack system on the way back in. So in this patch, I'm using the Tip Top Audio 258T to create a generative, plucky, melodic voice. And I am using the UniFX to send that sound over into the Alexander Syntax Error 2 pedal. I have this pedal set to air mode, which is adding a strange metallic reverberation to the sound. I'll turn this up here and we'll listen first to the patch fully dry, then I'll turn up the dry wet mix to introduce the processing from the pedal. Awesome. So we should also remember that we have a CV input here for the wet-dry mix, which we can use for dynamic control of the effect blend. So in this patch, I'm using the UniFX to send a short, plucky sound into the GFI system Skylar Reverb. And I am modulating the dry-wet blend on the UniFX with a combination of an envelope and some random voltages. So in the previous examples, we saw how you can use the UniFX to insert an effect pedal into your modular signal path. But we can do the opposite as well. If we switch this switch here to EuroFX mode, we're able to send external gear into our Eurorack system to use the Eurorack as a processor in the signal chain. Now in this scenario, UniFX first boosts the external signal up to modular level, and then converts the returned modular signal back down to a level that's appropriate for use with effect pedals. So in this patch here, for example, I have a super simple saw wave patch on the Hydrosynth. I'm sending that into the UniFX here, out from the UniFX into the Morphogene, which is producing a pitch shifted delay effect, and then back out from the Morphogene and into UniFX. And then finally, we're sending the signal out from here and into this pedal, which is at the end of our signal chain. And this pedal is the Fairfield Circuitry Shallow Water pedal, which gives the sound a really nice kind of lo-fi tape warble effect. First, let's listen to just the Hydrosynth and Shallow Water, and then I will turn up the mix here to listen to the Morphogene as well. Here's one final example of sending an external instrument into a modular synth setup for processing. So in this patch, I'm using the Mimiophone to process the sound of the Hydrosynth, as we saw before. And here I'm taking the gate output from the Synth, and I'm using that to trigger a whole bunch of random voltages that are being used to randomize different parameters on the mimeophone. And I'm also using it to trigger the hold function on the mimeophone to create a kind of stuttering effect. It's noted in the UniFX user manual that you can create feedback if you misuse this module in a very specific way. And as a lover of feedback and chaos, I definitely felt a need to explore this further. So let's take a look at how this works and how it can sound. So in this simple patch here, I'm sending the output from UniFX into the input of the Orca delay, and the output of the delay back into the input of the UniFX module. But instead of having this switch here in the pedals position, which is what you would normally do if you were inserting an effect pedal into the Eurorack signal chain, I have it switched over into Euro effects. So this is essentially creating a feedback loop here within this pedal, sending its output back into its input. And then we can monitor everything by sending the 3.5mm output from UniFX into our final output here. course, we can combine this feedback patching with modulation from elsewhere in the synth. So here in this patch, I'm using maths to modulate the dry-wet mix on UniFX, which is going to change how the feedback behaves over time. If you want to pick up a UniFX of your own, there are some affiliate links in the description of this video. Anything that you purchase using those links helps to support my channel so I can continue making more videos like this one. And if you're interested in joining a wonderful community of folks who love sharing about experimental music and synthesis, or if you're interested in things like unreleased music and extended tutorials and downloads of things like patch bundles, then I invite you to check out my Patreon community. Thanks to Boredbrain for making an easy solution for connecting modular synths and effects pedals. This is something that I have always loved doing in my own setup, and the UniFX module makes it super straightforward, which is awesome. So that's it for today. Thank you all for watching and listening.